What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna be showing y'all how I achieved this real cute sprinkle look. These are real sprinkles encapsulated into the nail. So first off, me and my client both went to the store and brought sprinkles. So those are my sprinkles that I'm putting in one, and then I put her sprinkles that she got in the other because they were two different sizes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mix them within the nail. If you watch my other videos, you know that I always start off with Crystal Clear from Valentino, and I go through and I put a clear, small layer on the natural nail base like I did right there. But this time, and I do that on every single nail before I get started, but this time I'm not doing that because I'm not putting any colors on. So I usually do that to protect the natural nail bed from any pigments I'll be using. But I'm just going to be using clear and encapsulating the sprinkles with it, so I don't need to go through and do that on every nail bed. I also put a clear on the natural nail bed to kind of give it like a base, as I explained. And if I do that here before I start attaching the sprinkles, it'll start to get too thick. Like the sprinkles are already going to make it thick enough, so you don't want to do that. And here, as you see, I'm actually going through and only adding a little bit of acrylic at a time, because if you add like the whole nail at once, it's just going to get dried up before you can add the sprinkles. So I'm going tiny bits at a time and slowly adding the sprinkles and mixing it up. I honestly thought this was going to be so much harder than it was, but it wasn't hard at all. And the sprinkles was attaching to my brush easily. They were sticking onto the nail. The acrylic was wet, so it was sticking good. The sprinkles actually weren't bleeding. Like, it just came out all... That's my daughter, sorry y'all. But it just came out perfect. When I'm doing a design, I usually like to go through, especially one that needs to be encapsulated, I usually like to go through and do all the fingers and then run back through and encapsulate it. But with this one, I decided to go ahead and encapsulate every finger once I was done with the sprinkles. And that's just because as I work on the other fingers, I didn't want any sprinkles to fall off, and it'll just be too difficult to add them back on. So I just went ahead and closed it all up real quick and just be over with that nail. As far as encapsulating it, it was pretty easy because of the fact that like the way I stick the sprinkles on, I made sure the acrylic was wet so that the sprinkles actually stick on. So when I went to go ahead and encapsulate, none of them was really falling out of place, so that made it easy. But like I was saying, I just went through and did like a normal application, starting from the bottom, working my way up with however many beads you feel that you need. And of course, when you get close to the cuticle, you don't want to put the bead too close to the cuticle. You want to put it a little bit more down and slowly push it up so that it's secure and it feels or looks like it's coming right out of the cuticle, so it looks more natural instead of crazy. For the other nails, I basically, just did the same thing, same technique. So I'll just let you guys watch through and I'll come back. Here you actually see me stopping to clean my brush. I use the cuticle pusher that I don't need anymore that I used on this client. And I slowly just wipe all the cuticle, the acrylic actually that got stuck in my brush out. And that's because all the acrylic that gets stuck in there can mess up your bead, you know, and mess up the acrylic application. So I just want to make sure nothing is stuck in there so that everything is turning out good. And then I just put it in the liquid, wipe it down some more, and we all good. And I continue. You also see me add more liquid into my little jar, and that's because you always want to make sure you have enough liquid to completely cover the brush once you dip the brush in, because that could mess up the acrylic application if you don't have enough liquid either. But after that, I just went ahead and did the acrylic application and the sprinkles and all that on the other hand, which I didn't show in the video, but it's done. And then of course here I'm moving on to the shaping with my hand file. And as you see, I love to keep the nail file at a 90-degree angle, and that's just to get that I'm sorry, I cannot talk today, that crisp shape, and just keep it real straight. Whichever shape you're doing, don't matter. As long as you keeping that file straight, you gonna get that real crisp look. And also a tip I would give, how you see what I'm doing here, if you feel like something is off with the shape, go ahead and do that and then see what's wrong, because I feel like that once you do that, like on coffin or tapered square, it makes the shape look 10 times better. I try not to file underneath like how I just did there, but sometimes like either the nail gets too thick or it's just like rounded kind of weirdly. I don't know how to explain it, but sometimes I'll just file like a little bit under there, but you want to try to stay away from that as much as possible, because that can make the nail a little bit thinner underneath, which can cause breaking. But also, of course, once I'm done the sides, I do this and I go right on top and file and just try to make sure I get all of the bumps, the small bumps at least, that I can get out, because I be feeling like my application is pretty good, you know, pretty smooth. It's not perfect, nobody perfect, but it's pretty smooth to the point that I can file with my hand file on top. But you will see me go through with my e-file and clean up whatever needs to be cleaned up. I also never go too close to the cuticle with my hand file, because sometimes I feel like I can be rough with it. So I don't want to break the skin around the cuticle. So that's why I just go with my e-file to take down some of that acrylic around there. Like here I'm showing you, I'm just going around because like I mentioned earlier, you do want that kind of flatness right there by the cuticle to give that more natural look, like it's actually coming out. So I like to do the e-file with that because that can help take down more acrylic than the hand file can. And also I'll go through, because I encapsulated sprinkles, it did make the nail a little bit thicker. So I like to go at the bottom like I am here and just thin it out, which makes the nail look a little bit more thinner and more put together, and the shape come together and all of that, girl. I also just run the e-file over the top like I am here. That's just I like to get the scratches out that the hand file created. And also just to get any more, you know, small bumps that need to get out or whatever needs to happen, you know. I personally don't like shaping the sides of the nails with the e-file, because sometimes I feel like the e-file, like it's just not control, like you can't control it enough, you know. Sometimes it just has its own mind, so it's kind of difficult to maintain the shape that I want with that. So that's why I like the hand file, because with the hand file it's completely, you know, my shaping. Then of course I go through and I use my buffer, and I use the hard side and then the soft side just to soften it up some more. And I do this on all of the fingers. Then I'm just dusting all the dust off with my little brush, and then you'll see me spray the fingers with alcohol, is rubbing alcohol, and I'll wipe it down. This is just an alternative to the client washing their hands because I don't really have a sink right now. So if you are upcoming nail tech, this is what you can do. So this just helps get all the dust off and everything, so there's no dust getting stuck in your top coat. Then here I'm just going through with my natural nail base coat from OPI. This is a regular nail polish base coat. And of course, if you watch my other videos, you know that I like to have a base between the acrylic and my gel polishes, because sometimes I feel like the gel polish can peel easily off of the acrylic, so I like to just apply this. And you know I gotta have my Valentino. This is my Valentino top coat. It is super glossy. I love it so much. But I just go through, obviously, like you see, putting the top coat on. And you'll actually see me wipe the sides before I put it in the lamp. And that's because sometimes I feel like the gel polish can be so runny, and that if you don't wipe it off the sides, when it comes out of the lamp, it can kind of mess the shaping up, especially with like encapsulated stuff. So I like to just wipe it, and then I'll cure it for 60 seconds. And y'all know I gotta put my cuticle oil on. And this is the finished product. These are super cute. I actually love how these came out. And I'm glad we did clear tips underneath, because I really like how you can kind of see them. But the client loved them too. And thank y'all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.